Derek Dodson was a member of the Royal Scots Fusiliers who were acting as a mobile anti-invasion force.
The summer of 1940, the whole of the Battle of Britain took place over our heads, and we could see all these fighters up in the skies. And every now and then one came down and we had to go and rescue the pilot.
I intercepted, quite by chance, 30 Messerschmitt 109s, and as I was flying towards them, I was wondering what I was going to do. To be honest with you, was I going to run away, or should I carry out a head-on attack? And I prepared to do a head-on attack. And strangely enough, they turned away from me and headed off back towards France, and I couldn't understand why this was happening. So I actually flew up behind one of the stragglers and shot him down. And almost immediately it started to smoke, so I stopped firing. I stopped firing for a couple of reasons. One, that we only had 15 seconds ammunition total, so I needed to conserve the ammo. And I thought, well, he'll have to crash land around there. But then I suddenly realized that was a stupid thing to do. I now was committed to following him down to make sure he didn't escape to France. And could see him struggling with this aircraft to control it. I couldn't say how old he was because, of course, he had an oxygen mask and, all marked up. But I felt I was willing him to get down safe. But unfortunately, about 500 feet, he lost control and went straight in and exploded in. And obviously, I flew around in a circle, but I couldn't see anybody escaping from the wreckage. So flying back to base, I had some very mixed feelings, actually, about having killed somebody, because I actually saw it happen.
One day we were in the garden, and we were shouting that these German planes were coming over, and this one was a bit of a straggler, and he got caught. And we watched it, and it came over the house quite low, and we knew very well that it was going to crash in the field just about a mile up the road from us. And we were told that we weren't to leave the garden. On no account were we to leave the garden. But no, we climbed the fence, and we were up and away.
As we got there, I could see a sort of bloody hand sort of trying to crawl out from the fuselage. I said to the platoon sergeant, I said, "Sergeant, get that man out." And he said, "Oh, what the bloody hell do you want to get him out for? Let him stay there." And I said, "Sergeant, if you had a brother shot down over Germany, wouldn't you want him got out? Get that man out." And he did.
And when we got there, there was guards already there saying, keep away, because there's live ammunition on board, and you mustn't touch anything, you can't go near it. And we were desperate to get a souvenir off a German plane, but no, we couldn't.
To get to England, first of all, we had to cross the Channel. We didn't always cross between Calais and Dover, where it is at its narrowest. In some places, it could be quite wide. We really disliked this, because we knew that if there was any engine trouble, or if we were fired at and or hit and the plane was disabled, we would have to ditch the plane in the sea. In some circumstances, this could be fatal.
German pilots who were picked up were interned. The fewer experienced pilots the Luftwaffe had, the better the chances for the RAF. When the British weren't in the air, they tried to keep themselves amused on the ground.
There was a lot of hanging around. Sometimes we'd chat, there'd be jokes amongst us. We did very little discussion about tactics or the loss of another person, that was quite odd, really. I never quite understood that. I think that was something to do with the trauma. We couldn't actually bear to look at it. Then, while you were sitting around, there was some tension when the telephone rang, because you didn't know whether it was a scramble or not. Sometimes it would just be a silly thing like tee up, and you'd go up to here and down again, just like that.
Suddenly the bell rings and you run out to your aircraft and you're off.
On the ground, members of the Women's Auxiliary Air Force served as radio operators.
If they left their instrument on, forgot it, and the Poles did an awful lot, you'd hear them laughing and crying with glee when they saw the Germans. And then you'd hear the scream, and you'd hear the bullets, and you'd hear them dying.
You began to realise that the chance of survival were getting pretty minimal, and chaps were not coming back. You know, you get back. Often we'd broken up and we'd land individually, and then you'd find somebody hadn't come back, and you didn't always know what happened to them. You didn't hear.
When you've mixed with people and become a little close to them, and they suddenly are not there, you cast that from your mind, but you never get close to anybody again, and I didn't, ever.
Riding on the wave of elation after Dunkirk, Churchill kept the spirit of the nation high. Unlike Hitler, Britain's leader was willing to delegate to his commanders when necessary.
Another brilliant thing was Winston Churchill's foresight in appointing Max Beaverbrook as Minister for Aircraft Production. It was brilliant, really, because he got the Spitfires and the airplanes produced, and even got all the women of Britain to send their old pots and pans and, you know, stately homes, their garden gates and so on. Not only that, producing the Spitfire, but vitally, he arranged for the repair of the Spitfires and British fighter planes that were brought down partly damaged.
Having failed to subjugate the British, the Luftwaffe were about to change their tactics. Eddie Bell had foreseen this.
And I remember going to a dance one night down at the technical college, and we were getting a bit of a discussion about it. And I said, well, look, it's like this. They'll come and they'll bomb us and they'll blow all the houses to bits. They're going to kill me. For damn it, you say such a thing. They won't get with it. The Royal Air Force will stop them. We're in a hollow. Coventry's not. They'll find us here, you know. And don't you kid yourself. They'll find us.
On the 24th of August 1940, a German plane inadvertently jettisoned its bombs over London. Assuming this to be deliberate, the British sent the RAF to bomb Berlin. Hitler was furious and ordered the Luftwaffe to reduce British cities to rubble.